Welcome back to the shop, my friends. Steve here at SKS Props, and in today's build video, I have Okarun's mask from Dandadan. If you have not checked this anime out, I do recommend it, but I will say it is pretty weird. But you've got a little bit of everything. You've got aliens, you've got ghosts, you've got hot grannies, but you also have a really iconic looking mask for the main character. And I think a lot of people are going to want to cosplay this in the future. So I did what I do, and I put together a build video along with free templates that you can download in case you would like to make your own. And with this mask, it is of course made all out of my HD foam, which you can find over at Blick Art Materials. And if you appreciate these videos, you like the free templates, by all means go through the links that are in the description section and those that are on my website. Every time you do, you support me, you support the channel, which means I get to continue to make awesome things like this, show you how to put it together, and provide you with free templates. So let me show you what it takes to put Okarun's mask together. Let's go ahead and get started. I created a quick prototype to get the scale correct, and we're going to start this build by using part A. This part is going to be traced onto some 6mm foam. The lower line needs to be cut at a 35-degree angle back. The angles are what's going to give the mask the correct shape once glued together. There also needs to be a 35-degree angle on each side where the front of the mask joins together. Part B is what's going to attach to this piece, and it's also going to be traced and cut out of some 6mm foam. Now the top and the bottom are two different angles. The bottom angle will be cut facing towards the front, and the top will be cut towards the back. And if you're confused, it's okay, just check out the video here and it shows the angles at the bottom and top. Making sure to wear my respirator, I'm now going to lightly heat seal the foam before I add the contact cement. Weldwood contact cement is going to be my glue of choice, and the adhesive is applied to the front angled cuts of part B. After the contact cement has dried, the two halves can be firmly pressed together. Now contact cement can be applied to the cuts of part A and part B. Now I would recommend to start at the nose and work your way slowly down the side, making sure to line up the angled cuts carefully as you go. With one side complete, I can now glue together the pieces on the opposite side. Part C is going to make up the lower jaw. This is also going to have an angle at the top that's going to attach to part B. 6mm foam is once again going to be used, and I'm using a well-sharpened hobby blade to make my cuts. And here you can see how the front angles go together. I once again lightly heat seal the foam, and I manipulate the shape just a little bit. This is going to help it conform better to the shape of the mask. More contact cement is used, and the two halves can be firmly pressed together. Just like the previous pieces, I start in the middle and I work my way towards the outside edge. And here you can see how the angled cuts give the mouth a concave shape. I can now use some more adhesive and attach the other side of the mask. Before I add the teeth, I'm going to use a smooth sanding drum on my rotary tool to clean up all of my seams and edges. If you have not watched my video on how I make custom sanding drums, I'll link that below. A light heat treatment is once again added to all the areas that were sanded, and this mask is really starting to come together. Now there are a lot of teeth, and I'm going to be cutting mine out of 4mm foam because I want some dimension to them. But if you don't mind the teeth being flat and want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, you could use some 2mm foam instead. Each tooth is traced onto the foam, and then I make sure to label them on the back so I don't get them out of order. The lower corners of each piece are cut away with some scissors, and I'm going to use my rotary tool to round over all of the edges. A little bit of heat is added to these pieces as well, and the teeth are looking great. Making sure to keep them in order, I start by gluing them in the middle, and I work my way to the outside, lining up the top of the tooth where the two angles meet in the middle of the mouth. Once one side is completed, I make sure to flip the template for the teeth on the opposite side. And notice on the template I put a small dot under the numbers for the teeth on the bottom, that way you don't get them mixed up. This same process is also going to be applied for the teeth on the top. Just like the bottom, I start by adhering the teeth in the middle, and I'm going to work my way to the outside. And I'm trying to be mindful to line up the upper and lower teeth. Now this is a very time-consuming process, but it's worth it for that distinctive look. To prime my foam, I'm going to be adding 2 light layers of Plasti Dip. And after the Plasti Dip is cured, I'm going to need to paint my teeth white. So I'm using some liquitex heavy body parchment. This first layer is going to be watered down a little bit just so I can get a base coverage on each tooth. And I'm not really worried about getting it onto the black at this point because I'm going to clean that up later on. The main goal here is to cover the front and the top of the tooth as well as in between. And if necessary, because they're acrylics, you could always use a hairdryer to speed up that dry time. For layer 2, I add less water to the paint, and I'm being more deliberate with my brush strokes, making sure to apply the paint in a vertical motion. For cleanup and to paint the black of the mask, I'm going to be using Liquitex Mars Black. Adding a bit of water to this paint, I'm using a very small liner brush. That way I can get in between the teeth when I need to. With my second pass, I'm going back with less water to repaint those spots that didn't fully cover. Because I want the paint around the teeth and the rest of the mask to all blend together, I paint the entire surface using that Liquitex Mars Black. Any accidental overpaints I can easily clean up with some more parchment and my liner brush. The mask is looking great, and now it's time to make the strap, so I'm going to use some 1-inch elastic. I lightly score the inside of the foam with a hobby blade, and I use some low temp hot glue. That way I can use my hands to firmly press the elastic onto the side. Now you're going to need to cut the elastic to fit you, but I used approximately 10 inches. For extra reinforcement, I cut some small strips of 2mm foam. These are going to be super glued over the elastic and attached to the inside of the mask. This is my double adhesive method, so if one fails, the other one makes up for it. So you all can see what it takes to put Okarun's mask together from Dandadan. And again, I have free templates available over on my website with links down in the description. And if you are building any of my builds or utilizing HD foam, be sure to tag me at SKS Props on Twitter and Instagram because I love seeing your creations. Until next time, build your best with the best. HD foam.